Very special episode this week, Jersey Baseball Show. We've got one of the guys that we enjoyed most watching, all through his career pretty much coming up locally. Northern Burlington, first Little League All-Star, high school All-Star, long, wonderful college career, little career in the pros, and kind of here to talk about Act Two with Ryan Shinn. Ryan is home on the farm down in Northern Burlington, and welcome.
What's going on, Ash? How are you?
Outstanding. Wanted to just kind of update everybody, guys who've people who've seen you, like I said, in Central Jersey all throughout kind of your career, and kind of talk about what's going on now, because you made the decision at the start of the year, start of 2021, to
hmm
to end the playing part of the career, right?
Yeah,
Retired from the Mets system,
yeah,
and kind of move into Act Two, and you kind of turned it into quite a pretty cool Act Two with some online presence, some video work, some working with guys. So tell us about what you're doing now. I see you're wearing the Shin Swing shirt, so let's get everybody up to date here.
yeah. So this is my hitting business. It's Shin Swings. Um, I train baseball players, whether it's team or individual. I actually started it when I started my pro career. So when I got drafted, went and played in the summer, and then came back. And then when you're in the off season, you have a lot of time to your training, and you got like this 4 to 6 months. You can't really get a normal job or anything. Like it's kind of like an in between period. So minor leaguers are kind of forced to just do whatever they can. So I love training guys. I love hitting. So I was like, oh, I'll go start up some hitting lessons. What a lot of guys do in the off season. And I started doing that, and I didn't have the name or didn't do anything. It was just local stuff. Um, Started working with them, and then I ended up having hip surgery that off season, and was I had a hip labrum surgery, so that was an 8 to 12 month recovery. So I was out of commission for a while. I couldn't do lessons. Couldn't even. I was sitting on my couch for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was doing that, and then with when COVID hit and everything, I was back to normal and just kind of started to back up, and then just kind of naturally, it kind of just kept building and kept building and kept building. And then when I made that decision to retire, it was just, it was already free flowing. And I have such a client list now and of guys that I work with that it's been awesome. It's been everything that I really couldn't have even imagined. I just started it as like a way to make it some ends meet. And now I've turned it into something that can be full time, and sometime in the future get a facility maybe and get some things working. But it's been really good. It's been awesome.
So you've kind of hit both sides of it. It seems like you've got the online following. Anybody you can will give you a chance to promo and pitch your
Yeah,
TikTok site, which has got 500,000 views of all the things you posted. Which for me that sounds like I never 500,000 of anything is crazy.
I know it's and that's what it kind of happened organically. I started posting on like Instagram and stuff. That's just the world it is today. You need a social media presence, and um my girlfriend was into TikTok, and I never got into the TikTok, and I was just like, no, like TikTok is dumb. Like it's for little kids. And then
It's what my daughter
I
is on right now while we're filming.
literally, and like they're all dancing on it and stuff like that. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna be on TikTok. And then actually, my good friend TJ Collette, he was my teammate at Kentucky. He had a TikTok, like a hitting TikTok, kind of similar, and he was just posting drills and stuff like that. And he was getting like insane amount of followers and all that stuff. And he wasn't doing it to make money or anything. Just like I'm not doing it to make money. It's just posting stuff like content. Like we as college and pro guys, you don't realize the stuff that you do on a day-to-day basis. And like it's the little things. It's whatever drills you're doing, whatever stuff you're doing is so beneficial to so many people that you just overlook it. And like I can post the simplest thing that for me I overlook it and like, oh, that's simple stuff. Like I know that I've known that for years. But there's 500,000 kids, like you said, around the world that are seeing it for the first time, and they're like, oh my God, this is awesome. And it's like I feel like I have like a moral obligation just to kind of to get like I've been so blessed with coaching and great coaches and mentors throughout my career that like the stuff that they've told me and they've given me has changed my career path. And if I can just give one little snippet to a kid that might change his career or change his game, even if it's one game, one at bat, if it can change it for the better, that's awesome.
And so you've got that part of it. Now, do you do a lot of video analysis for people, or are you primarily working, face to face?
So I do both. I do a lot of face to face individual like training and all that stuff, but I do offer like swing analysis. So like, which is awesome, which is really cool because it's transitioning just like anything in the normal world now. Everything's virtual. Everything is I can work with a kid from California or Texas and work on his swing and talk to him about his swing without ever actually meeting him. I could send him clips of his swing to this, that, and the other. And I've had kids that I've worked with from Texas that like I'll send him clips of his swing, I'll break it down, this, that, and the other. And then he'll text me the next day and said, dude, like I hit a home run today. Like that. It's just really cool that you never would have thought you could do, but now with like the age of technology, you're able to
have an impact on so many people that you would never think would be possible.
Yeah. And it's just little things too. Like I said, like it's not even hitting is so simple, but it's so complicated. Like some of the things that you can immediately translate in hitting are the simplest things ever. And all it takes is like, I like to say, like, you don't have to have the best swing, but if you know what you're doing, you can be successful. Like I can make a kid, I can't like physically, but like anybody can get better by just a flip of a mindset or a tinker of something in the head. It doesn't have to be a swing mechanic change every time. A lot of the times when I'm doing training, I don't even really touch the mechanics unless I need to. Like I'm not a cookie cutter one way like works for everyone. Like, I don't think your swing needs to look identical. Everybody's swing in the big leagues looks different. You get to a point where they need to be similar in an aspect, but everybody's stance and swing are completely different. And I think that if you just flip that mindset a little bit or what you're looking for in an at bat, that you're going to be a lot more successful.
Yeah, they don't call them swing coaches. They don't call them, stance coaches. They call them hitting coaches. And I think that people forget that this is where, more than half, I think, you get to a certain point, your swing works, relatively speaking, right? It's So, but knowing you and always been a people person, there's still something really cool about the immediate, seeing it click in front of them too. So you had the chance to, well, I guess before that, the name, you didn't have the name at the start. It's anybody who knows you and knows you like to hit. It's perfect.
Yeah.
You get credit for that, or did somebody come up with that for you?
I came up with it, and it was like I said, it was organic. I never really envisioned myself as an entrepreneur that was going to start a business, and it kind of just happened. And it was just a point of like, it makes it easy for people too, like to look for something, like they can Google Shinn swings or they can look up Shinn swings rather than just saying, well, I know Ryan Shinn does hitting lessons, to type in Ryan Shinn hitting lessons. Like my Facebook page used to be Ryan Shinn hitting lessons. So this just makes it an easier one-stop shop for people. And I made t-shirts and apparel and stuff like that. So like I got kids repping it now, and it's really cool to see.
So you had the chance to do your first camp this summer, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have you talk about that, and I'll put up a picture. And of course, you picked the hottest week of the summer to do it.
Of course, that week was. We'll talk about it. That was a adventure for sure.
So what do we got here?
So this was a camp that was put together very, very quickly. It was an idea that sparked from a lot of my clients. They were talking about like all the summer camps that they were doing for their kids, just trying to keep them busy and stuff like that. And they were like, you should do a baseball camp. Like the kids would love it. And I was like, yeah, like maybe next year. Like I don't know if I could put it together this year. And then I like started to brainstorm, and I was like, really I have the connections. I could put it together. Like, it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be just whoever can come. Um, so I started doing all the logistics stuff, and I put it together, and we ended up having 47 guys show up, and it was an awesome time. I had 7 to 8 instructors, and we had really talented instructors. I don't think for the 7 to 12 guys that are there, I don't think they realized how much talent we had at that camp, because we had Drew Wires, who was area player of the year for the public school. We had Carson Applegate from Hun, area player of the year for the prep school. We had Trey Todd, who is went to Gloucester Catholic, got drafted by the Dodgers.
Yep.
We had Adam Rapp helped out, who played at two different Division I schools. Like, we had an insane amount of talent at that camp, that like the kids, like, they what they loved, it was that all the instructors are so personable and so good with kids.
Yeah, that's quite a group you got there.
Yeah, like, insane amount of like talent and knowledge, but they were also all great with the kids. Um, awesome with the kids.
And you got great feedback from that, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was 4 days, and we did everything from like drill work, made it fun with them, and to a lot of competitions. One of my big things is just making it competitive. I think iron sharpens iron, and like, even if you're having fun, I think there's always a competition. So I had prizes, I had snacks to give out and stuff like that for different like line drive challenges and all that stuff, just to make it competitive and fun. And I took a bunch of videos, and like, these kids were fired up. Like, and
That
you get kids that want to compete. Like, but the tough part is when they're at that age too, like, there's some tears involved and all that
yeah,
stuff, because nobody likes to lose. But I think that's a great learning experience, that like, there's going to be winners, there's going to be losers. Like, in like our day and age, like, everybody's a winner. But like, in sports, you're not. Like,
that's
not
not real.
everybody's.
That's
No.
it's just not, because then you get to some point where it's not, and you don't know
Yeah.
how to handle
Yeah, so,
it.
like, even at their age, like, I like to have that competition, and, like, it's okay if you lose. There's In baseball, there's gonna be a next game, there's gonna be another at bat, like, you're gonna fail, but there should be a reward if you win. So, like, in all the competitions and all the games, there was prizes, this, that, and the other, and, like, if you didn't win, that's fine. Like, there's no punishment for not winning, but there's a reward for winning.
Right.
And all the kids, like, they did an awesome job. Like, we didn't have many tears. Like, they were they were competitive. I actually had a good teammate award too, of like, you didn't have to be the most talented guy there, but if you were a good teammate and you were cheering guys on, and you were just consistent with your mindset, and your being a teammate all week, you could have won a prize. And it happens that, like, that's what if you're a good teammate, you're a vital part of any
Yep.
team or organization,
Absolutely.
depend whether you're playing good or you're playing bad. You need good teammates to build good team chemistry. And it was just an awesome camp, but it did not come with no obstacles like anything. So it was supposed to be at a facility where I had a field
Hmm.
and an indoor.
That worked well for
And
about a day, right?
for one day, it was perfect. The indoor had air conditioning, and so, like, it was, yeah, you said hottest day of the year. It was 95 degrees all 4 days. Of course,
Yep.
blazing sun,
Yep.
95 degrees. And it was supposed to be indoor and outdoor. So the first day, it was like half and half. Like, you had half the time in the AC, cool off, hit in the cage and all that stuff, and then half the time in the field. So it worked perfect. And then, so that was Monday, and then Monday night, it downpoured, like, all night, downpoured. And I wake up in the morning, and I was like, like, it rained hard. I should go check on the field just to make sure there's no, like, just sitting water.
Sure.
Um, I was like, I have to go get quick dry and, like, get the field ready and all that stuff. So I show up early, and the camp started at 9, so people were starting showing up at like 8:30. I showed up at 7:30, and I'm pulling into the facility. I'm like trying to, like, peek to see if I see any water. And all of a sudden I get to where I'm pulling in, and it's a driveway with like a bridge. So that's the only way up. It's a
Oh, geez.
one lane bridge. And all of a sudden I'm pulling up, I'm driving up, and there's no bridge anymore.
Oh
The
my God.
bridge had completely collapsed from the
Collapsed.
rain.
Oh
Like I
no.
I was looking at a stream of water. It looked like a river. Like, and it might have been, it was probably a 10-foot hole of
Wow.
distance,
Nothing. Yeah.
nothing. It was just straight water
Good
flowing. And
thing
I
you
was like,
decided to get there early.
oh my God. I didn't, my first thought was like, I don't like, what do I do? Like, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, uh-oh. So I called the township that I had rented the facility from, and nobody's answering. It's 7:30 in the morning. Like, they're not even up yet. And I was like, I was like, oh my God, like, nobody's answering their phone. And I was like, uh-oh. So I just immediately, I'm like, I know I have to cancel today. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way. Like,
Yeah.
it was soaking wet in general. And I was like, I have to
Right.
cancel. Like, so I had to get, my mom helped, my girlfriend helped. Like, we got the list of all the
You
of all
got it out to
the
47
campers,
guys. Yeah. And
got it out, and just said like, stay tuned, like, for what's gonna happen. And it ended up working out. We went over to across the street. They have 3 fields, so it was actually more space. It was better off, but it was hot because there was no AC. There's no indoor, but it was an adventure, to say the least.
yeah, my goodness. Sure. So you run that. Obviously, sure we're gonna do that again next year.
Yeah, yeah.
But you've had such a great and unique journey to get to this point, right? So, I mean,
Mhm.
all area, northern Burlington, Florida Gulf Coast for a year, up to Hartford for a couple of years. So you got the JUCO route to
Yeah,
Kentucky. So you got the Power Five,
yeah,
SEC, Carter, all SEC route. The Mets. So you got the Pro Bowl. Some of the guys along the way who, because you're doing all these things, you mentioned that you kind of learn along the way and never realize the impact it can have on others. But if you think back now, a couple of the guys who really had an impact on you and your learning.
yeah. My God, there's so many of them, so many. Um, a lot of teammates too. Like I
Hmm.
said, TJ Collette has been one of my best friends since college, and he was the last school I've been to. Like, if things were different, I might not have ever met him. Like,
Yeah.
the entire coaching staff at Kentucky was awesome. My hitting coach, uh, I don't want to say I steal it, but like, a lot of the info that I give and train is coming straight from Coach Will at Kentucky. He
Hmm.
was an awesome mentor, awesome hitting guy. He's actually the hitting coach now at Utah. He got the hitting coach job there, and he is just an awesome human being, awesome man. And he really, really just loves hitting and puts it in the perspective of like we're talking about. You don't have to have the mechanics all the time. He's all about the mindset and the approach, and going in there with a plan, and really just perfecting your plan. And like, once you have a really good plan, it's like that takes over rather than the mechanics. So like, that changed my game. For that completely turned my career around when I stopped worrying about my mechanics and all this stuff, and I
Yep.
went strictly into my plan.
Hmm.
It was it was awesome. Um, and just even
And it's
even
it's funny you say that because I've always thought whatever you're doing, once you can kind of flip that switch from thinking internally
mhm,
and to thinking, externally about things,
mhm,
that's
yeah.
when that's when you can take off,
Oh my,
because
yeah,
you know, I'm sure that's what
absolutely.
you took off as a hitter that way. I mean, look at your last year at Kentucky.
Yeah, like I said, and I give him so much credit, because, and it doesn't come without adversity. Like, it was, we didn't connect well my junior year. Like, a lot of, I call them verbal cues, like in hitting. Like, there's 1,000 different ways to say the same thing,
Yep.
and like, what he was telling me my junior year, like, we just couldn't connect, and we were trying. Like, he was working after with me, I
Right.
was like trying super hard to connect with him, and we just couldn't find what was working. Like, what
Sure.
he was saying just wasn't working in my head. And I
Mhm.
was like, no, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work because to me, it seemed so different from what I was just doing at Harvard. And I came from Harvard where I just hit 20 home runs and I hit 400 or whatever. And I'm like, no, like what I'm doing is working. Why would I change this?
Right.
And like that was so short thinking because I like didn't want to change. I was stubborn. And then all of a sudden the spring rolls around and I needed to change. Like the things that I was doing needed adjustments because I was getting beat in the SEC. Like I was late, I was under balls, I was striking out. Like I needed to make adjustments. And he saw that. And it took me to fail to realize that. And I think it's just anything. Like you have to take a step back sometimes to take a step forward. So like I thought I was on top of the world going to Kentucky, and then all of a sudden, bang, another step back. And to
Mhm.
go forward though, to where I just flipped it. We kept working, and finally something just clicked, and we started to be like, wait. He's like, well, this is what I'm saying. And I'm like, well, why didn't you just say that? He's like, well, I've been like, and of course it's like a light bulb moment. It's like, wow, like we just been saying the completely different things, but we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
And it was a really interesting way to look at hitting because I think we both made each other better in terms of I had a different way to say it than he did. And then we learned from each other, and it just made me a completely different hitter.
And really, I
Completely
think
different
the
hitter.
lesson or the kind of credit here is that you kept trying, you both kept trying to find that way to make it work.
Yeah.
Some coaches or some players might turn off too quickly. you know,
Oh,
and
and a lot of
the reward was a great last year and getting drafted.
yeah, absolutely. And I give him so much credit, and I respect him so much, and thank him so much because he didn't, like you said, didn't shut it off. Like he could
Right.
have been like, well, this kid like doesn't want to do anything. Like this kid doesn't want to like truly commit and like invest in what I'm doing, and could have just been like, ah, whatever, like do it yourself.
Or just be a
But
one way, and I'm not gonna
yeah,
modify what I'm saying to get to the end point, and because there's
yeah,
coaches
and
like that too. They just
oh,
have
for sure.
don't if you can't pick up the one way, then that's it.
Yeah, like yeah, or like my way's been working for me for he's been coaching for I don't know 40 years or whatever. Like
Right,
obviously it's worked for him. So
right.
like he could have been like, no, this works. You have to figure it out. But he adjusted and he found a way to make it work and um just continued to pour into me in a good way of
Yeah.
being supportive and it just like I said, it changed my whole career.
And longer than your career. I mean, obviously that was the immediate, arc that you noticed, but think about what you're doing now, obviously, and
Yeah.
I can imagine that kind of lesson is invaluable to what you're doing now because guys aren't going to always get it the first time.
And that's it's yes, that is exactly the right way to put it, but not gonna get it the first time. And it's not gonna be the same thing for everyone.
Right.
Like the way I say something, and I tell my guys this all the time. I'm like, I ask them, does this make sense? Does this make sense? And I'm like, I don't want you to just say yes so we can move
Yeah.
on. Like I need you to either
Right.
like to tell me it makes sense. And like if I think they don't understand it, I'm like, explain it to me. What did I just say? Because
Yeah.
I need this to click in your head. And if it doesn't, that's totally fine. Like I'm not saying that the way I'm saying it is 100% right, but I can say it a different way. Like I said, there's 1,000 different ways to say the same thing. If I need to say it a different way, I will. Right? I'll say it however I need to say it, or I'll learn how to say it that way. I was like, but there is not a right way to say it. I have one kid that he's so smart. He does like coding. He literally code. He's only 9 years old, and he codes, and that's just the way his brain works.
Right.
And like I'll say something to him and he's like, "Oh," and he like puts it into coding terms. He's like, "So like I have to put like the input first to get the output or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah. If that's how it clicks in your head, that's how I'll say it. Like it's whatever works for you."
You got to know your hitters, more than
Yeah.
anything else. I mean, know how they communicate.
Yeah, and it really is. Like you said, it's a hitting coach. It's not necessarily I like to it's hitting is a conversation, and like Kevin Wilson says it best.
I was going to bring him up, but
Yeah, he
it's
works. It's such a small world. I had never physically met him until I met him through Tommy McCarthy. He works with Tommy McCarthy, and
Mhm.
he says hitting is a conversation, and it's so true because I could have an hour session with a kid, and you don't even need to hit one ball. You really
Yeah,
don't. Like, you don't have to even hit. This could be a session right now, a hitting session. We're talking about hitting, and you could go into the game and
yep,
you could hit better because of, like we said, your mindset or whatever it is. It doesn't always have to be the mechanics. So it really is just getting in the head
yeah,
of your approach and how to hit, not necessarily always the mechanics of it.
yeah. Kev was shortstop on my first team, so that's how
Really?
old I am. That's how old I
Really?
am.
Wow.
It is crazy though how everything is such a small world,
It
especially
really is.
football.
It
But
really
all
is.
right, so pro ball, right? You get the
Yeah.
dream of everybody, everybody that the age of the guys that you were at your camp, they dream
Yeah.
of, hey, I'm going to get drafted one day, and you got to experience that. Um, what's one thing that people would be surprised to know about pro ball, that we can say on the without getting in trouble?
Oh,
But
I'm
that year, a couple pro bombs. I mean, that's something you'll remember forever, I'm sure.
oh, absolutely. The whole pro experience is um it's in
Of course, it had to be with the Mets of all teams, right?
yeah, it was funny because I grew up a Phillies fan my entire life. Really big Phillies fan, diehard Phillies fan. My dad actually made a joke before the draft. He was like, "You got 29 teams you can draft by." He's like, "You don't got 30 teams you can get drafted by. You got 29." And
And it
of
was the
course it
30th that did, of course.
works out that way.
Yeah.
But like I said, I turned into a big Mets fan the day they drafted me because I have so much respect and just grateful for the opportunity. Um, and really, once I was in the organization, like I said, you meet guys and
Yeah.
like it's just the name on a jersey. All the
It's the
guys
people
in
you
the
meet on the way.
organization. Yeah,
Sure.
I met big leaguers, Brendan Nemo. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Um, all the coaches and everything are awesome. I still talk to a lot of them. But yeah, it was just an incredible experience. Stressful for sure. Um, I had a really good year at Kentucky, and I thought I might have gotten picked up a little bit earlier. I actually got a call earlier, and I thought it might have happened, and it just didn't. Like I said, some things just don't work out.
Yep.
But was fortunate enough to get picked up later in the draft, and once you get to pro ball, I think one of the big lessons too is like it doesn't matter what round you're in, you're just as important as everybody else in terms of like the day to day. Nobody knows year you were drafted, what round you were drafted. You just become one of the guys, and you could be a first rounder, you could be a last pick. It doesn't matter. It's just a matter of how you show up, how much work you put in, like how successful you are, and just like how good of a teammate you are. Um, and that's what's going to get you respect in the clubhouse and get you respect with your teammates. The front office is a whole different beast. They have their own agenda and all that stuff. But what's really going to get you connected with your teammates is just the day to day stuff. Doesn't matter what round you're in.
Right.
But it was an awesome experience. Like you said, my couple homers, my first career pro home run was actually a walk off home run, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't it wasn't exactly what you would think. So I was in the rookie ball GCL league. We
Yep.
played at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of the summer.
197 degrees in the Gulf Coast, I'm sure.
Insanely hot. And of
Yeah.
course, this day we had a double header. Um, so I had hit a walk-off home run in the first game of the doubleheader, and an exciting moment. I was like, everybody was pumped. I got the Gatorade like drenched on me, but then we had another game to start in 30 minutes. I'm drenched. Like in the minors, you don't get a ton of options of
You don't have
jerseys and
that
stuff.
second uniform, really.
No, I'm throwing the same jersey back on in 30 minutes. It's Gatorade swamped and gross. And I was like, this is nasty. But it was just an experience, but it was something that I'll cherish forever. And but pro ball does come with its its challenges just like anything else. So it doesn't matter, like we're saying, to the guys if you're a first or last rounder, but for in terms of your development and the like what you're going to be able to do, they got a pay bump this year, but pro baseball, you don't make a lot of money unless you're in the big leagues.
You're not even livable till you get to AAA.
Yeah, and like people don't understand that.
Yeah.
So if you get a signing bonus, that's a pretty high signing bonus, that's what's going to get you through until you make it to the big leagues.
Through the minors, yeah.
Yeah. And people don't realize that, and they think like, "Oh, you're playing pro ball, like you got all this money in the world." Not the case.
No,
Not
no.
the case. So
And for
like,
every, first, and there were a few of them in Jersey this year, top 3 or 4 round picks.
yeah,
There's a whole bunch of guys that are signing for their signing bonus is 20,000, can cap out at 20,000.
yeah. Well,
And,
it's
then you throw on about $500 a month on top of that. It
it's
doesn't
hard.
get
Yeah. It's extremely hard, and like it makes it a little bit easier, like we said, if you sign that big signing bonus. But if you don't, like, to be fully transparent, I was a 34th round pick as a senior. I signed for $1,000,
mm-hmm.
$1,000, $700 there.
Because what leverage did you have? You were
Nothing.
signing anyway.
Yeah, they could have gave me $1 and said, "Here, take it." So $700 after
Yeah.
taxes. So like that's not even a paycheck. Like I didn't
No.
get a signing bonus. And then you got paid, I think it was $420 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you got to pay the clubby some money. You had to pay for you had to pay for the hotel. You had to pay for your meals. Really, like you don't have livable, like it's not livable.
No.
Like you said, you have a lot of those stories that guys are sleeping in their car and everything, because if you're from the Dominican or wherever and you don't sign for a ton of money, or you're a late round guy, you really don't have any money.
Yeah. No. And so many guys give it up because it's just not worth it. Like they can't
That was
afford to keep playing, and that's always the one that hurts me to see the most.
Yeah.
Is, that they are moving up the system. They're good players. They could go, but they just can't. You just can't keep playing.
Yeah. And that was obviously a part of my decision, but it wasn't the full decision at all. I had the benefit of can't say the benefit of COVID, but I had a lot of time during COVID to kind of just reflect with my like everything going on. And I had always been the type of guy that loved training, that would love to be in the gym 2 hours a day, would love to be in the cage for as long as I needed to be, like just loved
You did it before it became like the popular thing to do. That was you.
I just loved it. Like I loved the grind.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt like I was going to fall behind if I didn't do it. Like I would take my bat on vacation and stuff like that. I was always doing something, and I loved it. Like I was never a second thought. And there was a part of me during quarantine and during COVID that I just lost that. And I just lost, like I loved working with the hitters. I love working with my guys. And that brought me the type of joy that I used to get in the cage by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I would get done training, or even before training, and I would hit myself, I'd be like, I'm just not into it. Like I'd be hitting with the pro guys, and I'd enjoy flipping to them and talking hitting more than I enjoy my round when I'm hitting.
Yeah. So then
And
it
I
was the
was
right time. I mean,
and I was just
you're right. You
and I,
had the benefit. Well, you're right. It's a weird way to say it, but
yeah.
the benefit of time anyway to really, know that that was the right move inside, and that's what's going to, act two can be just as rewarding or good or whatever as act one.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing platform you got to influence guys. But hit you with a couple of quick responses because you've got a like I said, a journey that would lend itself to answering a few of these things.
Yeah.
SEC baseball, favorite opposing atmosphere.
Favorite opposing atmosphere. Arkansas is insane. LSU was really, really cool. LSU probably. So it's going around now of like talking to the outfielders. That's been a thing. That's been a thing. Like
Yeah.
they get after you and like they do the left hand, right hand, this, that, and the other. They've done it for years.
Yeah.
And LSU was such a cool environment of like getting on you, but also supporting you. Like I had a tough weekend against LSU, and I didn't hear one thing bad against me. It was just being like they were competitive for.
You're
Yeah,
on the other team. That's all. Wasn't singling you out. It was just, hey, anybody who's on Kentucky who's out here is going to get it.
yeah, and they were riding for their team, but they were being respectful about it too, and they were just fun. Like they were cheering me at the end of the weekend because I was interactive with them.
Yep.
It was just a really cool place.
You're in the SEC. It's I don't want to say it's like pro ball, but the atmosphere that you're playing in front of every week is might as well be.
Yeah, it is. It's special for sure.
Yeah. JUCO route. You did that, right? That got you to help get you to where you were. Your thought on guys taking that route and how that's become more and more an important thing.
One of the best decisions I've ever made in my career was going to JUCO. It's just hard, especially now with guys like getting recruited so early. It's hard to make that right decision. And I think guys make the decision like to go to a school for all the wrong decisions. I know I did.
Mm-hmm.
I chose Florida Gulf Coast because I was basically going for free, and I thought I was going to be able to start early, and that it was in Florida, it was next to the beach. Like I just picked it for all the wrong reasons, and it like wasn't in my heart that it was the right place, but it like on paper it was the right place, and it just never works out like that.
Now, when did you commit there?
I committed there my junior year, so like very normal timing.
Okay.
And now guys are committing freshman 8th grade year
That
sometimes.
that was going to be my question.
It's
Is the recruiting
insane.
cycle is ridiculous, isn't it?
It really is, and like you just can't. You're not even 18 at that point. It's hard to make the right decision. So whether it's you're mentally not ready, or you're physically not ready, or your first year of somewhere just didn't work out, junior college is awesome because it's that stepping stone, and it's so competitive. If you go to the right one, so competitive, but it gives you that year or two that you need to either get stronger, figure out what you need mentally or academically, and all of a sudden when you do get it to that next level, whether it's another division 1 or D2 or wherever you go after you've had college experience, you're now a grown man. And when you go to that next school, that coach is looking for you to be there right away, like be making an immediate impact because you had college experience. You're not going to be there as a freshman. Like you
Right.
might be in your mind, you're like, oh, this is a new place, but you've already got 2 years of or 1 year of college experience. You're a veteran at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
it just,
especially now where it's so tough for a freshman. I mean, it was tough before, but
yeah,
these next few years, it's almost impossible to get them off the bench.
I know it's hard. And I just think I made going to Harvard was, like I said, one of the best decisions that I made. And it happened because it was a decision out of my heart. It wasn't a financial decision. It wasn't any of that. It was in my heart.
Okay, so let's just finish up here. I know you got a busy day of training guys ahead, but I
Yeah.
want to take a few minutes, give you a chance to direct people to whatever internet platforms you can, guys who don't know you. So go ahead, it's promo time for you.
Yeah, you can go follow Shinn Swings on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all of it. I got close to 30,000 followers on TikTok now that I put out baseball content and hitting drills and just a lot of baseball mindset stuff, which is I think is really important. I answer DMs, all this stuff. Hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, all of that. And then we got something big that's coming up. I'll actually introduce it on here that I haven't promoted it yet. We have a high school pro camp that's going to be starting. It's going to be in November 6th and 7th. It's going to be 6 local pros. It's going to be Anthony Peroni, who got drafted by the Nationals.
Yep.
Jake Alou, that got drafted by the Nationals. Mike Salvatore, that got drafted by the Mariners. Tommy McCarthy, that was drafted by the Phillies. Me, and then we're working on Heath Philmeyer, that got drafted and has played in the MLB with the Royals. So we're working on putting together a one-of-a-kind instructional camp and recruiting seminar.
I believe they all are Trenton Generals alums at some point.
Really? I didn't know that.
I don't know if Jake is or not, but I feel like he should have been.
Wow, yeah.
It's all Radvani days and
yeah.
and Jimmy Mayer, but I think that's a chance for me to just remind everybody who won the ACBL this year is what that is.
Yeah, you guys had an awesome year. But yeah, it's going to be the 6 of us. And what's cool about it is all 6 of us actually cover all the positions. So we got catching, first base, infield, corner infield, outfield. We're pitching. We're going to cover everything. And it's going to be a mix of everything we've learned throughout our careers. And you're going to get a lot of insight instructionally. But more importantly, we've also all been at different levels of college, pro, got all of that different experience with the recruiting side. So we're going to have a big recruiting kind of seminar about how to get recruited, what it takes to get recruited, steps of the process, and like an unbiased approach on how it all happens, rather than going to a college camp and saying, "Oh, do this, pay our money, and maybe you come here," right? We want to help guys. We're not in it for come to our school.
I was gonna say, you're talking about that 6 guys. That's just an amazing group of guys who are in it for the right reasons too.
Yeah.
And great with younger guys and great instructors. So now how do we get on that?
Yeah, I'll be putting that out there very soon. We're working on the complex, so it'll be within the next week. So by the time maybe this gets posted, it'll be open registration, and we'll be getting after it. And it'll be a great experience.
Must do for high school guys for sure. Could have been a lot longer. I think we could have gone for hours. So I see a part 2 in the future here.
I would love a part 2.
Excellent. We'll probably maybe right before camp then.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Get a couple of the guys on here. We'll do a pre-camp.
Perfect.
Appreciate it, Ryan. Again, Ryan Shinn, Jersey Baseball Show this week, Mr. Central Jersey himself, and certainly a pleasure.
Thanks for having me on, Osh.
Absolutely. Have a great day, Ryan.
Have a good day.